out to the YouTubes. So yeah. Happy new moon solar eclipse. Anybody just percolating with everything that's moving through? Yeah, welcome to the party. So it's also my anniversary. So something new I have done is I left my door open. Hubby can literally come home at any time. So if you hear a bunch of banging, or you just hear his voice, it'll be the adventure of the day, and we can just enjoy the spontaneity of life together. Okay, so today we're talking about Gene Key transits. We have our transit for the new moon Libra solar eclipse today. I did not look at the exact time, but I do have it. But yeah, like it's already been feeling like, ooh, and then this, and then I need this for this, and I need that for this. And I don't know if that's just how my brain works naturally. So you can tell me if you felt anything like that. Like you feel like, oh, well, I'm taking care of this, and ooh, let me get this end over here. In any of your actions today or any time within this time frame. I've got some great input from our Karen Curry Parker Quantum Human Design information for the transit, and then also from Richard Rudd. So Richard Rudd is the creator of the Gene Keys. And we have the shadow of inadequacy, the gift of resourcefulness, and the city of wisdom here in the Gene Key 48. And then on the quantum human design side from Karen Curry Parker, it is the gate of wisdom. And so they are pretty much in agreement on this one. I love the fact that it has that element of spontaneity and darkness. And I've always felt that there's a correlation between darkness and the throat chakra, or what is being conceived, right? I guess that's more sacral, but like when I think of conception, I'm thinking also of ideas, creativity, right? So, and what's so cool about that, it's going to be a tangent day, guys. What's so cool about that is that if you've ever seen an anatomy, an actual, like, what does the vagina look like and what does the throat look like? They look almost identical. They're made the same with the same shapes. They function very similarly in the kind of triangle diagram that is closed with like small structures here and there so that it can move and be flexible. So when it needs to stretch, it can stretch. And when it needs to get tight, it can get tight. And so we have that capacity. It may not be direct, but we have muscles around us, those functions of the throat opening, the vocal folds, and the vagina opening and the folds there. They're very similar in that we don't have like direct control over them. What we're actually controlling is the muscles around them when we think we're in control, which is really cool. Tangent city, which is a really cool correlation because control is like the main aspect of what makes voices not work. Like if you're talking about singing or even speaking, I've seen it again and again. The more control you have, the less you have connection with an audience. And so it really has to be this surrender to what we don't know yet. Full circle to the shadow of inadequacy, where we're feeling it as, and Richard Rudd calls this the darkest fear. So there's a lot of fear in the Gene Keys because it's the driver for shadow, right? So um, for this to be named the darkest is it's quite a feat, since he's doing all 64 here. And I got a direct quote from the book, which is, if we don't know how to handle emotional states with equanimity, integrity, and clarity, we never fully enter adulthood, but remain at some level children. So in the shadow of inadequacy, it's just this, reacting to what we are afraid of instead of exploring it. and it's the ring of matter. So it's like, how do we think of what's coming together and what we have ability to get done in the future, right? So on the repressive side, it's bland. And it's this idea of that we are soothing our fears by system information, which I'm thinking of as his correlation to what we get from what the governments tell us, or what news tells us, or what our environment or culture is telling us. And if we just let that be true and just make that the gospel, right, then we can just go to sleep, because everybody knows or the people that are important know the important things, and we can just not think about it, right? So just not being in a place of receptivity and thinking is the shadow, right? So reactive side, which is how we act out if we're in this fear energy of inadequacy, is unscrupulous. So unscrupulous is like is fed by the fear of um, or recognizing fear, and in order to feel like you're in control, feeding that conception of fear to others. So it's being feeding the belief of it that others are inadequate. So it's driving the fear of what's happening, so that they don't feel secure in their own worlds and their own willing availability of resources within themselves, right? It's sometimes it's planting those weird little seeds, like, oh, are you sure you're ready for that? Oh, I don't know. Like, it sounds like you should be really careful because I'm really worried about you, right? So, um, sometimes, I mean, well, a lot of times these things are unconscious, because once you're acting out of fear, it is an unconscious action, and therefore what you're talking about. But it's also can be intentional, right? Some people are like, well, I'm going to tell you this so that you go buy more shoes or buy more whatever, right? We know that this drives our our commerce in general, right? That they will tell you whatever you need to know to buy the next medicine, to buy the next um, doodad that's they want you to pay a ton of money for, right? Fear is our biggest driver of action, right? If we're living in an unconscious state. So they know that it's easier to get to people who are just going to buy spontaneously and from fear. So they market to those people, right? So when we're seeing this and we see it playing out in dynamics, we have to also look at the other side of it, because there's never just one side, which is just us knowing that people are out there doing it on purpose. Like, even, they're not doing out of just ignorance and not thinking, right? They're doing it purposefully to target people who have fear and make them more afraid, right? That's unscrupulous, right? And it causes us to think, oh, there's unscrupulous people out there. I'm still afraid of what I cannot control from those people making those things happen and making fearful, unconscious people do fearful, unconscious things. You see how that just like it kind of, what they call it, boomerangs back on you if you let just even the fear that the possibility and in the environment bring us back to the fear of not being in control, right? The programming partner here is 21, which is the shadow of control, the power, the gift of authority, and the city of power. So can you feel that? Like the control is the shadow. So if you don't feel in control, then you're going to act out of fear, whether that is to like just take whatever information makes you feel better and then just, blindly serve whatever they're saying, whoever that authority is that you're giving that to. That's interesting, because the gift of authority is like basically standing on your own authority and not needing to know everything to be in your authority, right? And so it's a little that lovely juxtaposition of these amazing yin yang concepts of the I Ching that we're pulling this deep wisdom from. And so, yeah, the evolution, like how it wants to become like the thing you need right now in your life, is by bringing light to our darkest and deepest fears. Does that sound exciting to you? Um, Probably not, right? But like, I think a lot of us that have done enough work realize that there are some gems in there, and that, and the more you do it, the more you realize actually you can't run out of that. As soon as you bring those dark fears up to the light, you start to recognize more of yourself and more of your capability. So being able just sit with the fact that you're afraid, and Richard Rudd talks about how you're just going to sit and you're going to sit with the fear and you're going to be vulnerable and you're not going to react. Because unreactive and unknowing is another word he uses, which is basically I think the difference between like wisdom and unknowing is not anything in this key, but actually it's the difference between like thinking you have to know and then undoing something that you think you know. And there's like another aspect of of letting yourself not know until you need to know, which we're going to talk about with Karen Curry Parker. So there is that, like, what? The only thing I want is to know so I can feel safe and in control, right? But we get something better. We get something better in the gift. We have this, the nature of the gift here and what it's giving us is that when we just let go of what those external ideas that are going to soothe us, and let go of the idea that something we don't even know about is controlling our life, then we can say, I'm moving with the rhythm of life. So that's the nature of this energy. It's like once you've let go of all those things and you just plop down. In the I Ching, this is called the well, is what Richard Rudd is referencing. And so, and you plop down into that well, and you're just like, it's dark down here, but if I finally hit the water, and you dredge it up, and you're like, oh, it's not that dark, right? It's the ability to sit with your the emotion of fear, right? Because the only thing to fear is fear itself, and that once we put that light on, and we realize, oh, I was more scared of being afraid than I was of, well, I was more scared of seeing what I was afraid of than the thing itself, right? And so yeah, that's the wisdom of wisdom, right? The wisdom of of this amazing city, right? Um, and the power of resourcefulness, that everything, even the deepest, darkest things in our bodies, in our experience, in our thinking, in our emotions, even those are powerful resources. And if that's true, then we're better off than we think we are, right? The wisdom quote I'm going to bring in from the city of this one is, one who is truly wise is like water. So if anybody knows, I'm in love with like the book Be Like Water, by the daughter of Bruce Lee. So this is a beautiful reference in my regard. So yeah, one who is truly wise is like water in all these ways. Now, this is actually from the Gene Keys book. I'm sorry. I wanted to make sure I didn't give you the wrong reference there. But Bruce Lee's daughter has a different book that is also fabulous. Um, so yeah, one who is truly wise is like water in all these ways. You are wise because you do not know you are wise. You are powerful because you do not care about power. You are fearless because you do not really exist. So I do think he was kind of channeling a little bit of Bruce Lee there. But yeah, like it's this idea of that even like the unknowing is the power, is where the power lies. And if you've had any rubs against like full divine feminine goddess chaos, all the edges of what darkness can mean, then you know that, especially in the movies, if you watch any sci-fi fantasy, when they're willing to look at what they're scared of, everything becomes possible. So that's where the power lies, folks. That's it. And from Karen Corey Parker, we love her because she brings it home for us. How are we applying this to our lives? What are we doing about this? And she references this energy as that we've already put in the work. The what's in the well is in the well. Like it's not something you have to go find more water around. If, we're really blessed, water just falls in there from the sky. And it's like, woo, we got more water. Woohoo, right? Um, so it's not really about what you have to go do more of. It's about what you've already done. And are we recognizing that even in the challenge of it, of where you may be at this time, that there's more available, that you have a deep, deep wisdom to pull from, which is what she's called this gate. And the challenge here from her is not letting fear of not knowing what's down in that deep well stop you from creating, right? Because the creativity comes from the well. So, which means you stop pulling, right? Stop pulling and bringing things into the light and learning more about it. You'll know what you need to know when you need to know it. That's the challenge here, is that people feel like they need to know before they can do anything, before they can create something, before it can be the perfection in which they desire. They're like, I must know more before right? I don't know if y'all feel that way, but I know I've had deep moments of like, do I really need to read a 20th book about this, you know, side knowledge that I'm not even directly referencing in my work? I don't know. I don't know if that's necessary. I mean, if my passion sparks, my inspiration sparks, I'm going to read the book anyways. But am I going to wait till I finish the book before I get started on what I'm creating? Probably not. Probably not. It'll probably get read sometime in the mix of books that I read on a regular basis in that timeline, right? Um, Optimally with this energy and how it wants to serve you is that it's going to exploring what you seek to master. So there is what you need to know for now, and that's the same question, right? Do I need this book now? Right? Do I need it now, or can I just take my time with it and just read it for pleasure mostly, right? And that understanding is this energy, like, okay, it's for now, I'll do the rest later. Like, do I really need to delve into my emotions today, or can I just go to my meeting, right? It's just that understanding. Yeah, no, this is the time. Dig in, dig deep, see what wants to come up, because you may need it in the meeting. Can be a different answer than, you know what, it's a deep well for this one. Maybe come back to it when you have more time and space, right? So just being available to what wants to be uncovered in that wisdom now, and trusting in knowledge directly from source. So we talked about this on Verb and Vision. We're talking about creativity, and we're talking about big magic, and how big magic and creativity are the same thing, and totally not. I'm kidding. They're both the same thing. Magic takes work just as much as creativity takes work. And Elizabeth, she brings it home for us, and that truth and the reality, and still the wonder of being inspired, uh, which can often feel, and in my opinion is something that comes to us and through us, not necessarily something that we are just so anciently wise about in the depths of our being. And she talks about how when we think that it's solely us that's making that wisdom or that inspiration happen. Elizabeth Gilbert talks about how you becomes egoic, and then you are devastated when that's not the final word of the wisdom, and then you're overly attached to what the responsibilities of holding the wisdom are, right? So if we can just let it be, like, feel the amazing, wonderful, and that it came to us, that inspiration came to us, that it's coming through us, that we get to create something out of it and just enjoy that. Or we can, like, nail ourselves to our desk and be like, I am under the subjection of my inspiration, right? Like it doesn't have to be that deep. But artists, writers, all of us, we do it. We do that sometimes. We get into that. I am a slave to my muse. I don't know. I feel like those are parts, so much a part of the artistic dynamic when we talk about what it means to be creative in our creative worlds out here. So yeah, so that is a wonderful. I did that on purpose. I was just making sure that I was still alive. And now it started talking to me. So I was like, okay, I get it. I'm live. If you are here, drop a comment. I appreciate it because even if it's just like, hey, I'm here, like it helps me to share with more people and helps me to, if you have any questions, I can lean more into what people are interested in. So I would love to see you if you're here to make a comment. And the unbalance of this expression makes us paralyzed in quantum human design. It makes us feel inadequate and fearful of trying something new beyond what we already know and have done and are experiencing, right? So if we're paralyzed, then we know that the energy is available. That's what I love about this work, is that even if you're only experiencing the shadow now, at minimum, now you have the reference point to say, wait, the same energy can give me this gift. This can give me this wholly different experience. Am I willing to open myself up to that possibility? Am I willing to do the work that it takes to get there? And what we talked about as that work is that sitting with the fear, not being reactive, just letting us not ourselves not know until the wisdom is unveiled by the awareness, right? So I mashed some things together. If you haven't heard it already on Verb and Vision, I kind of love the affirmation I mashed together from Karen Curry Parker's words, which is I take great leaps of faith while connected to source, knowing I'll know what I need to know when I need to know it. All right. So it's a big leap, I think, for a lot of us, but I think we can do it. I think we can do it, folks. All right. So 3 things to receive. So this is kind of my what am I allowing the energies to support me to receive for this new moon solar eclipse? Now, I don't want, like I always kind of give the warning of not going straight to manifestation on eclipses unless you're like kind of pretty well seasoned and it's a choice that you're making with some awareness, right? But it's a lot of energy and sporadic energy. So maybe we're just receiving what is coming and not manifesting things that we aren't fully perceiving yet, right? So receive what you need to know for now. So instead of, I need to know everything so I can be completely in control. And I'm making fun of myself more than anything. So instead of that one, let's do like what's up, what I call what's up for now. I'm gonna start my Oman's vocal resonance method. Breathe out, breathe in from the earth. What's up for now is understanding this fear I have around getting visible, right? So what is that for you? What is up for you to know now? Because there are things that we get unveiled for today too. And then receive the ease of not knowing. So there's some things that we don't need to know. We don't need to know yet. And if we did know, we just freak out more. We just need to know. We don't need to know. And like the lightness of that there's a quote of what do they call it? Oh, I had it when I wrote it down, but I didn't write it down. So but essentially that ignorance is bliss. So ignorance is bliss. Yeah, and there's a lot of ignorant people living blissful lives. So what may like just live in the bliss of not knowing. Let it be easy is what I'm always telling clients, and let lightness be light. We don't have to make it heavier with what we think we should know, right? Um, and what we don't need, no, we don't need to respond to, right? We don't need to um be, what do they call it? Well, I guess responsible, right? So responsible is the ability to respond. Have you heard that, the description of responsibility? So, like the ability to respond is when you have the knowledge that there's something to respond to. So sometimes we're not getting the information yet because you should be, what I call, sitting your butt down somewhere. Should be sitting down somewhere, resting, relaxing, enjoying your ignorance, maybe having a nice ice drink or something. Like chill out, right? And because we are, maybe it's time to be resourcing for the time in which you are needing to respond. And that takes action and that takes energy, right? So maybe it's time to build that energy and be in restoration, even though you don't know anything yet, right? It's okay. It's okay not to do things, and it's okay not to do anything. Oh, I know, it's scary, I know, but you can do nothing and you're still a-okay with me, but also by the universe. Your energy is already serving. We don't need you to be doing constantly for you to be of huge value to us on this planet. You're already being exactly who you need to be. So, how do you get to enjoy yourself while you're being it? And how do you get to participate in like being more of it so that more people get even more from you, right? So we can decide that later when we're not in ease. But the third thing we want to receive is the wisdom your fear holds. And so delving deep into that well, bringing something up dark and seeing, and and one of the things that Richard Rudd talks about in the book is that you won't pull up something that you're not ready to receive yet. That's the wisdom of the universe, right? Or however you think of that. So you're not gonna just be like, oh my gosh, I wasn't ready, right? It may be painful on onset, but something that you're ready for and is timely. And now you'll, even though it may hurt in the beginning, you're going to be glad you find out for what's coming. Like if it's up for now, it's for now, right? And that's going to give you maybe even the energy, the impetus to respond and be responsible, right? So, three content ideas. I should have music there. So the three content ideas I have are generated by these three questions, okay? So the first question is, what do you never get tired talking about? Believe it or not, it's not astrology. I have my rare moments when I'm over it. It's rare, but it happens, right? What I never get tired of talking about: voice, resonance, how we are vibration, our aspects of energetic beingness, our spirits are the true us and what we really are. And that's vibration. And everything is made up of vibration. And the more we just accept it, the more life is joyous and in flow. And the more we learn how those it feels to be in the rhythm of vibration, which is those waves moving back and forth, and how they're moving past the matter. So how the waves are hitting the shore and dispersing, and all that is rhythm. Okay. And so if we can get into the flow, we don't necessarily have to like be there when it's, the tides coming in, be over our heads. We can be like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be resting. I'm chilling over here in my corner, restoring for the next time it's time to respond, right? All right. And the second content idea is, what Are your people an absolute yes to? You're like, right? That's the crowd in the background. I don't know. Uh, Zoom might take that out as background noise. But yeah, so for me, my people are absolute yes to full self-expression, beauty of all kinds, like deep beauty that touches our souls and fun beauty that just brightens and brightens our life. They're into beauty of all kinds. They're into creativity. So they're into their own creativity. They're into the creativity of nature and the universe, of just being this burgeoning, wonderful thing, and community, what we get to be together. I think that that's how I think of it. And I think that a lot of the people that I work with is the same way. They think of it as this, what we get to be when we're all together at the same time. I've got like songs running in my head. All right. So the third content idea is, what vision do you hold for your clients and partners that others have failed due to socially accepted constructs? So did I already do three? Because that feels like an old one. I think that's an old one. So that may make up one up on the fly. The third content idea is, let's see. So you have this beautiful energy. This is how I fell into it, folks. I have this beautiful energy of resourcefulness and timing and like being who we are spontaneously. So that's really that city of the gene key there, is that wisdom, like when we just let our unknowingness be, like what is left is who we are in our essence, and it just springs up and springs forth in that genius. So what is your genius? What is springing forth when you just let all that go, when you've brought up that fear and let yourself be empty for a moment, and like what bubbles forth is what I think of as also kind of what's next, right? So when you just release all that air, we're digging deep, we're going even into the earth, and we're bringing up from earth into our belly and recognizing the creativity of our womb, and then we're unfolding that. So what springs forth after that um, deep well withdrawal, most naturally for you? I would say for me, um, it is that it's the inspiration. It's what's up for now. It's how we can be most present to the beauty that's already happening. Um, so yeah, so that's for me. And I hope everybody has a wonderful new moon solar eclipse in Libra. And yeah, and I'm going to be hanging out with hubby as soon as he gets back home. You guys have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will talk to you later.